Hey there, gardeners. So, do you think September is the absolute end of the gardening season? Like it's just time to hang up those tools and take a long winter break? Well, think again. In this explainer, we're going to take that whole assumption and flip it completely on its head. Because while most amateur gardeners are literally packing away their shovels and hoes right now, planting in September is actually a total secret weapon. It's the key to an incredible, productive, and robust garden all year round. You see, autumn sowing isn't just some hobby to kill time before winter. It's a deliberate, highly proactive strategy. Getting seeds in the ground right now puts you weeks, sometimes even months, ahead of the game come spring. It totally eliminates that early spring panic and practically guarantees an abundant harvest.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at exactly why we plant in September. Then, what you should be planting right now. After that, we'll cover the core rules for soil preparation. And finally, how to care for those young plants. Let's get to it.
Part 1. Why plant in September? It's all about understanding the timing. Think about spring for a second. We've got cold soil and rapidly warming air, right? That is basically a perfect recipe for an absolute explosion of pests and major stress on plant roots. But in the fall, it's the total opposite. The soil is still holding on to all that wonderful heat from the long summer, while the air above it is starting to cool down. This brilliant dynamic triggers massive root growth. It keeps the leafy top growth in check, and it naturally deters pests, mostly because, well, their season is just over. And the absolutely crucial point here is that these tough, winter-hardy roots, they are being built right now. Plants that germinate and overwinter develop an incredibly deep and powerful root system during the fall. So when spring finally rolls around, these plants are going to be hyper-resistant to both drought and annoying diseases. Moving on to part 2. What exactly to plant right now? Let's look at the September sowing guide.
Let's start with veggies. Spinach is one of the most cold-hardy leafy greens out there. You want to get it in the ground at about 4 to 5 centimeters deep, spaced 15 centimeters apart, and you'll actually be harvesting fresh leaves as early as March. Then we've got winter garlic, the absolute secret to so many good recipes. This is a must plant right now if you want those massive bulbs next year. Plant them 3 to 5 centimeters deep. And don't forget carrots. They can successfully overwinter for a super early spring harvest too. Just stick to the depths and spacing you see here to give them the room they need to thrive.
But hey, the garden isn't just about vegetables, right? September is literally the critical window for those gorgeous early spring flowers. Now is the exact time to plant your snowdrops, tulips, daffodils, and hyacinths. The golden rule for bulbs is to plant them at a depth that's about twice their own height, ideally in light soil. And listen, they need excellent drainage. If you let too much moisture pool around them, they're just going to rot, and nobody wants that.
Now let's talk about siderates, which you probably know better as green manure. When you finally clear out those tired summer tomatoes and cucumbers, do not leave that soil bare. Instead, sow some white mustard, oats, or rye. These crops shoot up incredibly fast. They protect your soil from harsh winter erosion, and they pull essential nutrients up from deep underground. Then you just mow them down before winter, and boom, you've biologically restored that exhausted soil. It's like magic, but it's science.
If you're operating on a slightly larger scale and planning to sow winter cereals like wheat or barley, your local altitude is going to dictate your timeline. Up in the mountain regions, above 600 meters, you actually start sowing between September 20th and October 10th. But in the warmer southern regions, you can hold off until mid-October or even November. Specialists always warn us, don't rush those early sowings in warm areas, or you risk insect-borne viruses during those lingering hot days.
All right, part 3, soil preparation rules. Let's walk through the 5 steps for autumn fertilization.
Here is the famous Rule of 5 for autumn fertilization, pulled right from the agronomic reports we're looking at. It's super easy to remember. Step 1. Always apply organic fertilizers yearly. 2. Check your soil pH before you do anything else. 3. Only lime the soil if it's absolutely necessary. 4. Choose your mineral fertilizers very wisely. And 5. Always factor in the specific needs of the crops you're actually going to grow there.
Let's dig a little deeper into these rules. You're aiming for a soil pH right around 5.5 to 7.0. For organics, mature compost or well-rotted manure hits the nail on the head. But I really want to emphasize these last 2 points. Fall is the time for potassium and phosphorus, like potassium sulfate, because they dramatically boost frost resistance in your plants. And here is a huge mistake a lot of people make. Absolutely no pure nitrogen in the autumn. Nitrogen forces new, delicate leaf growth,
and those leaves will literally just freeze off the second it gets cold. Moving on to our final section, Part 4, Care for Young Plants and General Fall Maintenance. Even though the air is cooling down, those sunny September days can actually cause soil moisture to evaporate super quickly. Because of that, hydrating the topsoil frequently is absolutely critical right now. Once temperatures really start to drop, you need to protect those young plants with a good layer of mulch. Think straw, leaves, or Agri-Tex. Oh, and this is important. Make sure you remove all the dead summer leaves. If you leave them lying around, they just turn into a cozy little incubator for winter diseases.
At the end of the day, this is the main takeaway. The hard work you put in during September is a serious long-term investment. Instead of running around stressed out in the spring, fighting against time and battling pests, you're building a system now that will do the heavy lifting for you later. It really is a total paradigm shift in how we think about gardening.
Now, a quick professional disclaimer. Every single garden is its own unique microclimate. You always want to adapt these science-backed rules to your specific local weather and altitude. If you're ever in doubt, definitely consult with local garden specialists or agronomists in your area for personalized advice.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. We've seen just how incredibly straightforward and powerful these autumn planting techniques can be. So now it's up to you. What are you going to plant this September to totally transform your spring? Pick just one or two things we talked about, get out there, and get your hands dirty. Thanks so much for joining us, keep experimenting, and we'll see you next time.